Okay, right? They report the show. If they say that it's hate speech or they don't like hearing it, makes them uncomfortable, then what YouTube does is that they're going to put the show further down in the algorithm so you can't find it. You understand? So when you like it, you're doing the opposite of what that person is doing. And so they have their social media warriors that they think that they're doing Barbados a favor by doing that with the show. All right. So all we do, we fight back. If there are 821 of you on here tonight, all 821 of you should be liking. But I know some of you are afraid to like. I understand. But we need to like and we need to share and we need to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button that you see there. Okay. Well, listen, school. We have another class coming up and I'm ready and turn it over. A new page, Mr. Murray, already. Class time. I'm one excited student. And we have with us no other than what we call her. She's what senior teacher. Senior teacher, Maxine McLean, and the floor is yours, teacher, star teacher. Welcome. You're muted. You're muted, teacher. You're muted.
Sorry about that. And good evening, Glyne, and to all
Good
the
evening, Maxine.
members of the loyal opposition. And I must tell you, I enjoy the show. I like the show, and I liked the show by clicking while I was listening to. And I'll tell you, you said you almost brought tears, but I guess I'm a crybaby. But when I listened to those two young men, they were like, it's so happy to hear. And I know of one of the earlier pilots. I think he might have retired from American at this point. You might know him, Glyne Basilo. He flew with an American. He was a contemporary of mine at university, and then he went off to pilot school through a scholarship and so on. But it really is something else. And I of course, Alfred Pragnell, it was something that we grew up on. I certainly would have enjoyed. And every now and again, I would hear VOB, I think, would play some of those. And in fact, as I listened to him, I must ask his nephew. He did an interview. Peter Jokes, by the way, Glyne is Alfred Pragnell's nephew, and he had some tapes and so on. And I know he had one with an interview that Alfred Pragnell did with Errol Barrow many years ago. So if you can find it, I'll see if I can get it. So I want to say thanks a lot to Dave, because Marcia, as we celebrate our independence, I really like how the pieces of the show are coming together, because Glyne is talking about a Barbados under the IMF in a situation where we seem to be going in a direction that is typical of traditional IMF relationships and situations. And I know that the people were very quick to tell us that that this is the new IMF and whatever the case may be, but I don't see it. So let me start by, how tall is Ryan Strong, Glyne? Isn't he a tallish guy? You're muted, I think.
I think he's probably, I'm close to 5'6". He has to be 5'8"-ish.
He's not.
He's tall. He's tall. He's about 5'8". Yeah, tallish, by 5'8" or so, 9.
A little taller than that. Okay, probably I was thinking around 5'10", almost 5'11". But I just look at that picture. You know what comes to mind? You know, when you met the Queen, you had to a bow. And even if he's shorter than the guy, I'm a short person. I mean, and I look at you, you may step back a little bit and you look at the person, you make eye contact. So
your eyes must make 4. Your eye must make 4.
As you say.
Right.
And so maybe that is a subconscious reaction. But you were pointing out, just so I can kind of going to look at my what I want to talk about. You were talking about the financial situation, the living conditions of Barbadians. Certainly, we are seeing an increasing number of people out of work and having to rely on charitable organizations, to rely on charity. Many of us try to discreetly adopt a family or, an individual or whatever the case may be and assist. But many of them have to turn to the Salvation Army and other organizations for support. Now, I raise that against the background of an article which we had here in the Nation. Paris benefits says benefits for small business. And this was in the discussion of the um, Business Barbados legislation, this new act to create an entity to foster more efficient um, business facilitation. KAIPO is, the activities of KAIPO will fall under that, and so on. But what is important in there, she made reference to the program, the Barbados Trust Fund Limited, and she was suggesting, and I will cite some of the statistics, and as Dave was able to put up, this trust fund is an organization whose existence I question in terms of a separate structure. From what I saw, there were about 6 to 8 people working in this organization. I was trying to find out where they operate from. But as you can see here, and I'll start to look at this quickly, it says the mission of the Barbados Trust Fund Limited is to create the conditions for empowerment and the creation of generational wealth through fostering sustainable microenterprise development by providing access to credit, enterprise training, business support, and other professional development services. Now, if I stick a pin right there, as somebody, and I don't have to, I'm doing this not to blow my own trumpet, but to say that I have been fortunate to have been involved in all the organizations that have been created to support small business, as such at some level, whether in the last phase is at the policy level. But you have the fund access, which is if you look at that fund access, and here is scroll up, Dave, so I can see the text. And if you can stop there, and we have now an organization which the Barbados Agency for Micro Enterprise Development Limited, also known as Fund Access, isn't just supporting local entrepreneurs, it is transforming lives. Now, it says that this was a comment from the Minister of State in the Ministry of Foreign Trade and Business Development, Sandra Husbands, as she applauded the organization for 25 years of serving Barbadians, speaking at a service of Thanksgiving held at the Sanctuary Empowerment Center, Country Road, to mark this milestone. And so, in essence, if Dave can put back up the topic that he had just now, is really the topic. And my thing is that, Senator Paris, we need proof of the stellar picture painted of the Barbados Trust Fund Limited. And I say that, and having put that there, let me share some of what the newspaper says. It says here, and I quote from the today's Sunday's thing. When I saw this morning, it hit me before I went to church, and I went to church and came back, read the article because I just browsed through the paper, and said I had to look at this because a number of things jumped out at me which need questioning or better analysis. And it says here, and I quote, the period November 2018 to September 2024, the total number of loans disbursed by the Barbados Trust Loan Fund is 5,101. The total value disbursed is over 26 million. And we have provided employment opportunities for 7,241 persons. We do not give them a loan and leave them out there. We also expose them to training opportunities. And to date, we have given 2,970 persons training. Now, all of that is great. But my question is, when you say you have given, what is said, and what was the word again? Employment opportunities. Now, the trust loan started out as a scheme which offered, in terms of a first loan, $5,000. And my question is, rather than just give me that, first of all, she didn't tell me, or election says she didn't tell me because I didn't listen to the debate, but the article, the journalist who wrote this article didn't tell us whether she was quoting an annual report, which I doubt because I have searched and I am, I may not have been fully exhaustive, I suppose, or I might have missed something, but I have searched for annual reports of this fund because it's operating 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 20, So you've had 6-7 years of this, almost 7 years. Well, I would say 5 to 6 years in which they could be reporting. I have seen no evidence of any financial reports, any annual reports, because those things are filed in Parliament. I have to go back and look at the legislation and find out what, how they are reporting. Now, if I look at that number and you're telling me that you're lending $5,000 per person and you have an agency of 25 years standing, that's the fund access. I got to remember these things because I might soon get the children confused, but you have fund access. Why didn't government not open a special window rather than setting up a new agency? Because if you set up a new agency, you're talking about a whole set of expenses that can be used. So, for example, you have 6 persons or whatever, but those 6 persons are probably not all, well, I don't know if they're the trainers or what. I will come back to the training part because we have the youth entrepreneurship scheme and I will speak about that in respect to training. So my thinking is that if you have this special window where you are offering micro enterprise, why not have a window there where they can go if the rules in terms of the standard operating procedures for administering those loans are slightly different from what you might do for the other kinds of businesses that might approach fund access. Well, you set up those rules, the staff who deal with those kinds of loans will know exactly what. But I'm thinking they must be housed somewhere, so they're probably renting somebody's property or using government space that can be utilized elsewhere, and so what I see happening against the background was something that Glyne pointed out, and he was referring to Mr. Strawn's comments that there may be job losses, one, but more importantly, from the beginning and even before the change of government, there was an idea of, well, not an idea, there were plans, and some plans were in train and some have continued to address the whole question of state-owned enterprises, statutory corporations. So you're creating something that essentially is doing a subset of the work of another organization. So you have the Barbados Trust Fund, as it says here, dealing with access to credit. Now, as I said, we have, and the interesting thing from the government perspective, you have fund access, which deals with smaller kinds of entities. And then you have the enterprise growth fund. I don't know, I would have to go and find out what is happening with that, which is supposedly perhaps involving equity financing and some other things, but I don't want to complicate that. But in other words, you already had, when this thing was set up, a structure of 25 years. 25 years that would have had certain experience. I remember prior to 2018 and with the change of government, that the then administration, we took a decision to increase the capitalization of fund access by an additional $10 million. So my thinking is, why set up all of this? Now, my question is, how transparent are the operations? Because they say that, it says, the article went on to tell that people generally don't get refused. Now, I find that interesting. It says here, we do not give a loan. I mentioned that. It says the central side loans were refinanced because from time to time persons run into difficulty. And she said something else here. She said the enterprise facilitated clients' participation in local, regional, and international trade shows and provide exposure at marketplaces, events and pop-up shops. Now, when I look at that and I think of $5,000 and then a second loan, which could be about $10,000,
Mhm.
who really are the clients?
Mhm.
What kinds of businesses are you financing? Because if I am borrowing $5,000, it either is that I am looking to do something really micro, like maybe buying and selling refreshments, somewhere or whatever. Or I might have a small, because it says micro. So by definition, micro, I don't want to get into those things, but anybody can go and read and look at the definitions, the standard definitions for micro, small, etc., medium enterprises. So my thinking is, who are these people that will go to this trust loan to go to a trade show? Because if you are, unless, so in other words, you need to tell me and the public, of all these 7,000 jobs and or 5,000 and something loans that you were made, break it down. How many of these people already had a business in place? What kind of businesses they were operating in? What was the business's financial situation? In other words, did the person have a short-term cash flow issue? Or is this somebody who just lost his or her job? They were working, let's say, in tourism as a waitress, or they were working at a bakery, or they were working in a supermarket, or or whatever area. And they are somebody who wants to get into a side hustle, as the young people like to call it now, who wants to set up a lifestyle business, as I would call it, to supplement his or her income. In other words, show me something about the kinds of businesses that you're doing. Because if I had to look at this based on what was suggested initially, and you're talking about micro businesses, why are you in the business of paying for trade shows and so on? How ready is a person to
Right.
participate in a trade show? So in essence, they need to provide more information, because it makes it sound good. Ms. Senator Paris trots out a number: 5,101 persons benefit, 7,000 or something jobs created. Now, my question is, and similarly, what kinds of jobs are, and if I could have find an annual report or some other write-ups about this, answering these, I would have shared the information. But in the absence of any details, I'm asking them to tell us now. Um, what kinds of jobs, what kind of earnings? Because my little I won't say limited. I would be more than humble. I might be telling a little bit of lies, because I have years of looking at this thing. But from my experience, when we start to look at small businesses, we have to determine whether the business is one that is going to allow that. And I'm talking micro business now, the very, very small businesses as they start up. Is this something that's going to allow the person to earn a comparable income at a minimum as they were earning, let's say, in a job, or are they earning significantly more? Is this a business that has the potential to grow, and employ persons? Because most micro enterprises probably employ at most two people based on the kind of definitions that we have. So
Right.
in terms of this, the notion of employment would be self-employment. And if it is self-employment, is it a sustainable thing? Now, a number was given here of 213 loans, for refinancing of only 213 loans. My question is, of those, how many of those loans were written off because the people could repay them? Or in fact, because I would have seen, and people calling programs make reference to the fact that bailiffs were after them to collect outstanding monies. Now, at the end of the day, if I was loaned $5,000 to get into something which probably required $20,000, and I did not have $20,000, I might have been doing myself more harm than good. Because you understand what I'm saying, Marcy and Glyne and
Yeah.
listeners. if the financing does not really allow you to either supplement, is a supplement to what you already have, and in fact it is only what you will start a business, you may be put in a bind.
Correct.
So I really would like to understand, to get a true picture, because at the end of the day we have structures in place now. They talked a lot about training. Are they doing training that is essentially different, whether in content or delivery, from what the youth entrepreneurship scheme is doing? Is this something that they could direct people? I'm just trying to understand whether or not, in the use of the resources that they have, whether or not there is duplication and even triplication of efforts that already exist. And how does it really benefit? In other words, is this model of supporting micro enterprise the most efficient? Is it sustainable? Is it delivering in terms of making a transformative impact in the lives of those, or are you creating additional hardships for people who are already struggling? So I read those numbers and they sound nice, and I would hope that that is the case. But at the end of the day, my question is, so what?
Yes.
So what have you done in terms of impacting? Have you got any tracer studies which can demonstrate the positive impact of these microfunds? Are people surviving beyond? Because the reality is, when I ask, are people, or are the businesses surviving, the reality is that many businesses, new businesses, fail within a fail. Generally it could be months, year, a couple of years, or whatever. And if that is the case, are you able to what percentage have done that? So in other words, have you, by offering these kind of loans, they're small, and as they say, we hardly turn away anybody, are you actually putting a millstone around the neck of those people if they did not have as feasible a business idea? Because we've been bandying around the word entrepreneurship in Barbados. Everybody's an entrepreneur. My thing is, I make a distinction between what I call a truly innovative business and a new business. A new business may not be entrepreneurial at all. It may just be copycat. And it may be copycat in an environment in which there is little scope for significant
Yeah.
opportunity and growth. So I really would like some more transparency, particularly in the context in which we are already seeing that there are a lot of people out there who are struggling to survive because they either are not surviving on their salary or they don't have a job. And so some people, out of desperation, and in fact, one of the terms that we use in the entrepreneurial literature is what they call forcing events. Are you forced because you lost a job to go and try to find some means of making an
Make
earning?
it right.
You
It's
know,
yeah.
and so
Interesting. There's a lot of questions, and you have shared them, and the people in the comment section, they are agreeing. I think Mr. Murray has a short comment to
Yeah,
make.
that's right. I get the hit, Marcia. Short copy. Couple of things. Martin, when you were talking about trust fund,
mhm.
I was saying slush fund.
Well,
You were talking about
Let-
TRUST. I
I,
was saying SLUSH.
USH. But yeah, go ahead. I bet you finish our
Right?
statement.
Because I heard stories about a lot of people just never did it, never tried to pay it back. You couldn't find them. So it's really, that's why maybe like Miss Parrott, Side of Parrott said nobody was turned away. If they give them money, why would you turn away somebody? The other thing is these buzzwords always, I don't fall for the buzzword. You talk
I
about
agree.
empowerment, sustainable wealth, transforming lives, employment opportunities, bare buzzword, bare jargon. I mean, they never define it. They never give you substance to back it up. And it's just PR, more glitz and glamour. Just like I said, you spoke about entrepreneurship. I spoke about a few companies where every nut seller is an entrepreneur. Where's the risk in selling that? Where's the risk in selling coconut water? Entrepreneurship is a misnomer just to make people think that they have achieved, that they have a high status. So you don't want to be a vendor anymore. That is too down. So you are an entrepreneur,
Entrepreneur.
but vending.
Yeah,
Jokers.
yeah.
Yeah.
But Miss McLean and Mr. Murray and viewers, I was here thinking that how would we really know if this thing has worked? The purpose of it is to see the economy. We want to see the economy develop, and the way we know that the economy is strong is, can we go to the supermarket, right? Are we saving? Are we, But I mean, all the Salvation Army has already told us what has really
Kima,
happened.
Kima,
Because
Kima,
the
Kima
impact
Safri
is
is also
there.
complaining.
If you have over 7,000 small businesses you have started in this country, is this what I'm hearing?
It
You
was
have started.
5,000 people, they say 7,000
I'm
employment
sorry, yeah, so
opportunities.
7,000 jobs, but then 5,000. You've helped 5,000 micro businesses.
Right, the loans, yeah, 5,000
Oh,
people.
really? So why we should see the translation, Mr. Murray, in
Yeah.
what's happening at Salvation Army, and the people who beat down my phone to go up to Caswell to get a thing. The people who are calling me, Miss Weeks, we just need some bottles so we can sell juice. Everybody wants to sell juice. No, so tell me, please. We're not stupid, Miss McLean. Salvation Army has already told us what is happening with the economy in terms of small businesses. I mean, nobody's benefiting. I don't understand. Mr. Murray, you were saying something?
Um, I, I don't. It dawned on me that I was talking about. We must never forget that we're in the hands of the IMF, and the IMF is like the previous programs I talked about. We were in. Is that if you took your shop to to get some body work, a bump, a brush hair, repaint the bumper, fix the light. But there are a structural. When you under the structure, you take out the foundation, you trouble the roof, you take out the wall. So that's what the Barbados economy of it has been gutted. And like you said, it is not manifested. If these small businesses were doing, we were hearing more about the more positive contributions to national insurance and other
That's
agencies, right? Higher VAT returns at water. But again, we don't know if there's because we're not getting any reporting on it.
one.
Again, not even a bra, we get
But
report.
I'm going to read this for you because I think this kind of answers some of
Yes,
it.
before we go into this other
Yes,
segment.
and it
Yes.
says, and this is Jerry Amos, who is the person who heads the funds acting general manager. And it's an article, February 28th last year, loans to trust fund applicants a challenge given rising costs. And this is what he said. Head of the Barbados Trust Fund Limited has conceded that the loans from that organization to some persons trying to launch and finance, now this is important, their businesses is not enough in the current environment of rising input costs. Jerry Amos, the fund's acting general manager, told the estimates hearing on Monday morning that the challenge arose over the last couple of years as prices started to climb. Now, the last couple of years is almost the life of the project because you're talking 2018 it started, and he's reporting at the end of 2022 because this is February 2023, so it's 18, 19, 20. It's 5 years or less depending on, can't remember the starting date in 2018. The money that is being borrowed is insufficient at this time, and persons are complaining about the fact that raw materials not only are expensive but are sometimes inaccessible. By way of relief, and to assist business owners to scale up, Amos said the fund is offering the $10,000 loan, which it was hesitant to lend over the last few years. We realize people need more money because things have risen significantly. And this is the last comment I would read from here is an article in Barbados Today of the 20th, around 20th of February last year. And he said, we have also partnered with the credit union. So if persons want money over 10,000, the credit union is willing to give loans over 200,000 to our clients. Now that is a joke. Already one client of the 5,000, well, it was less than 5,000